Your body is made of trillions of cells, and almost all of them follow one rule: divide only when needed and stop when the job is done. This is how tissues grow, wounds heal, and organs stay healthy. But sometimes a cell breaks that rule. It starts dividing when it shouldn't. It ignores the signals that tell it to stop. It stops dying when it's damaged, and it begins behaving like a selfish organism inside a larger one. That breakdown is what we call cancer. Most cells divide through a carefully controlled process called the cell cycle. It has stages: growth, DNA replication, preparation, and division. But the important part isn't the stages, it's the checkpoints. Checkpoints are biological inspections. They ask questions like, is the DNA intact? Is the cell large enough? Is the environment safe? Are there enough nutrients? Do we actually need more cells? If the answer is no, the cell pauses and repairs itself. And if the damage is too severe, the cell activates a self-destruct program called apoptosis. So healthy cells don't just divide, they prove they deserve to divide. But cancer begins when the checkpoint system breaks. And the reason checkpoints break always comes back to the same thing: DNA mutations. Your DNA is copied every time a cell divides. And even though replication is incredibly precise, it isn't perfect. Mistakes happen. Radiation damages DNA, chemicals alter bases, viruses insert genetic material, random errors slip through. Most mutations are harmless. Some are repaired, some kill the cell, but occasionally a mutation hits a critical gene, a gene that controls cell division or survival. And that's when cancer becomes possible. And because cancer isn't caused by one mutation, it usually takes multiple mutations accumulating over time, slowly turning a normal cell into a cell that refuses to follow the rules. To understand how that happens, we need to look at the two main categories of genes involved. Your cells control growth with two opposing systems: oncogenes. These are mutated versions of normal genes called proto-oncogenes. Proto-oncogenes help cells grow when they're supposed to, but when mutated, they become stuck in the on position, like a gas pedal that's jammed down. Tumor suppressor genes, these are the brakes. They stop division, repair DNA, and trigger apoptosis. The most famous is P53, sometimes called the guardian of the genome. If tumor suppressors are damaged, the brakes fail. Cancer happens when the gas pedal gets stuck and/or the brakes stop working. With uncontrolled growth and weakened repair, cells begin multiplying with errors, but a growing cluster of abnormal cells still isn't automatically deadly. To become dangerous, cancer has to do something harder. It must become a new ecosystem inside the body. As cancer cells multiply, they form a mass called a tumor. But not all tumors are cancer. Benign tumors grow in one location and don't invade nearby tissue. Malignant tumors invade surrounding tissue, damage organs, and can spread throughout the body. Malignancy is what makes cancer life-threatening. To invade, cancer cells must break through barriers, ignore tissue boundaries, and survive in environments normal cells can't handle. But even invasion isn't the worst stage of cancer. The worst stage is when cancer moves. Most cancer deaths happen not because of the original tumor, but because of metastasis, the spread of cancer to distant organs. Metastasis is one of the most complex processes in biology. A cancer cell must break away from the tumor, invade nearby blood or lymph vessels, survive immune attack and circulation, exit into a new tissue, adapt to a new environment, start growing again. It's extremely difficult, and yet metastatic cancer cells evolve to do it. Once cancer spreads, it becomes much harder to treat because it's no longer one tumor. It becomes a system-wide disease. But there's a problem cancer must solve before it can even grow that far. It needs fuel, which leads us to another critical feature. A tumor cannot grow beyond a few millimeters without nutrients and oxygen. So cancer cells trigger angiogenesis, the formation of new blood vessels. They release signals like VEFG that tell the body, build vessels here. But these blood vessels are often abnormal, leaky, chaotic, poorly structured. This allows cancer to grow fast and also gives cancer cells easy access to the bloodstream, making metastasis more likely. At this point, cancer isn't just uncontrolled growth, it's a self-sustaining biological system, hijacking the body's resources. And yet, even with these advantages, cancer faces the body's strongest enemy, the immune system. So how does cancer survive immune surveillance? Your immune system is constantly scanning cells for abnormal behavior. T cells can detect cancer-like proteins and destroy mutated cells early. This is why many cancers never form. They get eliminated silently. But successful cancers evolve ways to hide. They can reduce surface markers so immune cells don't recognize them, release signals that suppress immune activity, recruit immune cells that protect the tumor, activate off switches on T cells. This last trick is crucial. Your immune system has brakes too, to prevent attacking your own body. Cancer learns how to press those brakes. That discovery led to a breakthrough in treatment in immunotherapy. Because cancer isn't one disease, there isn't one cure. Treatment depends on cancer type, location, stage, and genetics. But most treatments target the same core problem. Cancer cells divide too much. Surgery physically removes the tumor. Works best when cancer is localized. Radiation therapy damages DNA in rapidly dividing cells. Cancer cells die because they can't repair well. Chemotherapy targets cells dividing rapidly. Effective, but also affects hair follicles, gut lining, and bone marrow. Targeted therapy uses drugs that block specific cancer mutations like blocking HER2 in breast cancer or EGFR in lung cancer. Immunotherapy releases the immune system's brakes. Checkpoint inhibitors allow T cells to attack tumors more effectively. CAR T cell therapy genetically engineers a patient's T cells to recognize cancer more precisely. Each method attacks cancer from a different angle because cancer itself is an evolving target, which brings us to the biggest obstacle in cancer treatment. Cancer is evolution happening inside the body. As cancer cells divide, they mutate. The environment selects the ones that survive best. Chemotherapy kills many cells, but the few resistant ones survive and multiply. This is why cancer can return after treatment. It's not coming back. It's a new population that survived the selection pressure. Cancer is not a static enemy. It adapts. That's why modern cancer medicine increasingly relies on genetic sequencing. Doctors analyze the tumor's mutations to choose drugs that match that specific cancer. Cancer treatment is becoming more personalized, but because cancer is personal at the molecular level. And once you understand cancer as evolution, you naturally begin to ask what makes cancer more likely in the first place. That brings us to risk factors. Cancer risk increases with anything that raises mutation rates or disrupts cell control. Common risk factors include smoking, so introduces DNA damaging chemicals. UV radiation causes mutations in skin cells. Ionizing radiation breaks DNA strands. Alcohol increases harmful metabolic byproducts. Chronic inflammation, constant cell turnover increases errors. Viruses like HPV and hepatitis B/C can alter cell regulation. Inherited mutations like BRCA1/BRCA2 reduce DNA repairability. Age, more time means more divisions, more opportunities for error. Aging is one of the strongest predictors of cancer because cancer requires multiple steps and those steps take time, which means cancer is partly a statistical disease. Given enough years, enough divisions, and enough mutation chances, the probability rises. But statistics don't mean inevitability. Many mutations occur, and most never become cancer because your body has defenses, and that returns us to the bigger truth about cancer. So, what is cancer really? Cancer is not a foreign invader. It isn't a virus or bacteria. It's your own cells, but running a corrupted program. It is DNA errors accumulating, growth signals stuck on, repair systems failing, apoptosis being ignored, immune surveillance being bypassed, blood vessels being hijacked, cells evolving inside you, and spreading through your body's networks. Cancer is biology losing coordination, but understanding it changes everything. Because the more we learn, the more cancer becomes something we can predict, detect early, and target precisely. Modern medicine is turning cancer from a mystery into a map of molecular weaknesses. Cancer is not one disease. It's the consequence of life running long enough for errors to build up. And fighting cancer is the science of learning how to stop those errors before they take over.